Hello, how do you do? I'm back with a collection update video to do. First, in the background, playing the new Iron Reagan and Gatecreeper split. Some excellent crossover with some excellent death metal. If you haven't checked this out, highly recommend it. I talked about it in a previous video. But anyway, like I said, I got a collection update video to do. Got one vinyl, some tapes, and some CDs to show off. So I'll start with the record. This is Beyond the Mirror by Kreated. This was a Record Store Day release, and Record Store Day was a couple days ago. Picture disc. Behind the Mirror? Yeah, Behind the Mirror, off of Terrible Certainty. Backed with Gangland, which was a cover of a band I can't remember. It came on in this nice kind of generic noise sleeve, which is nice. I much prefer having this over those flimsy plastic sleeves. And about Record Store Day, since I know some people bitch about it, some people love it. Me and my dad have been volunteering. My dad's friends with the owner of a record store, the one that we're closest to. And so for the last however many years he's been doing it, I've been helping for 7 years. We've been volunteering and helping at this record store. And so I enjoy it because I can pretend that I work at a record store. My dad pretty much the same thing, and we're surrounded by music all day. So it's not a bad thing for me, but obviously with Record Store Day and all these limitations, clogs up the record plants, fucking scalpers, which I've already seen that reissue going for upwards of $70 on Discogs, which pisses me off, especially since all the listings are just still sealed and shit. So that fucking sucks, but you know, I go to Record Store Day. For me, it's not an excuse to go to a record store because I go to record stores anyway without the need of limited pressings for me to go. But yeah, all those fucking people who only go to a record store on Record Store Day so they can get that Grateful Dead or Fish or whatever the fuck, those guys are pieces of shit. And the scalpers too, fuck them. But that was the only Record Store Day release I wanted. There was a Morbid Angel one, which the record store didn't have. And there was a couple others I can't really think of, but I didn't really want them too much, so it wasn't a big loss for me. Anyway, on to CDs. Most of these are filler. There's a couple that aren't. This first one is a filler one, but I didn't even know it existed. Undisputed Attitude by Slayer. Haven't listened to it yet. Apparently it's a bunch of covers with a couple of original songs put in. And cover albums are always hit or miss for me, so who knows, maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. Next up, Skid Row, self-titled debut record. This is one I couldn't pass up, especially since it was only $7. One of the great bands to come out during the late 80s. We've obviously got the hits 18 in Life and Youth Gone Wild, and then Can't Stand the Heartache, Rattlesnakes Shake, Big Guns. It's a fucking classic record. And then this one also, Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. How I haven't gotten this before Saturday is beyond me, since it's such a great record, but finally got it now. And these next two CDs were ones that I didn't expect to find at all. This is the Foxborough Hot Tubs with Stop, Drop, and Roll, put out on Jingletown Records. I like the packaging for it because it's basically like a record. It's just a cardboard sleeve, and then the CD comes in this paper sleeve, and then the CD looks like an actual vinyl. The Foxborough Hot Tubs is basically Green Day, but not punk. This was put out between American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown, which is the record that followed up American Idiot. And this sounds like something that came out of the 60s or 70s. And it was recorded on an 8-track, except for one song, which was recorded on a 4-track. But it has Billy Joe Armstrong, Mike Dirnt, and Trey Cool on vocals, bass, and drums. Those are the three members from Green Day. And then it's got Green Day's touring guitarist Jason White on guitar, and then on second guitar you have Kevin Preston from Prima Donna. And it just sounds like a great old school rock and roll record. And given that American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown were concept records, very much, those were more hard rock records as opposed to punk records like Dookie or Kerplunk or the early stuff. So them doing the Foxborough Hot Tubs was basically, even though they wanted to do the concept records, it was a way for them to do something with less structure as opposed to what they were doing with Green Day at the time. And this one I was really surprised to find, especially given that the record store, I went to two of them. I volunteered with my dad and my younger brother at the one. Then we went to another one, which was about 45 minutes away from where we lived. And that one's even smaller than the one I volunteered at. But this one, Rituals by Rotting Christ, is the box set, limited to 5,000 copies. And the box set came with this pin. Hopefully that's focused. If not, oh well. And then a patch as well, and 3 stickers. Got the album cover, this one, and then the band logo. And then it came with a Digipack CD with 1 bonus song. And it came with a 20-page CD booklet as well, which is pretty big for standard. I guess it is a box set, but still, that's pretty big for a CD. And of course, Rotting Christ, what do I need to say? Legendary black metal band. Even though I'm not a huge black metal fan, I didn't feel like I could pass this up. And for me personally, this record sounds more like a blackened death metal record as opposed to a black metal record. And now the tapes, which we got an assortment of shit. I got 3 tapes. This first one I got for literally no reason other than it was 50 cents. Hole in My Soul by Aerosmith. This is a single cassette, backed with Falling Off. And yeah, I am not and have never been the biggest Aerosmith fan. And then you got the back with the credits and stuff, but like I said, it was only 50 cents. I didn't really want to pass it up, especially since, yeah, who knows, I'm collector's scum. Something nice to have in my collection. And then next is a soundtrack, Spider-Man. This was the one that came out in 2002. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with this movie. And this soundtrack was unopened. It was in the original shrink wrap and everything. Comes with this nice, I guess, U card. You got credits and who wrote everything on this side. And then on this side you got a scene from the movie, comic thing, and more album credits. But this soundtrack is filled with a bunch of great artists. You got Aerosmith, Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, Chad Kroeger from Nickelback, even though I don't really like him that much. Sum 41, Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Stone Sour, The Hive, The Strokes, a bunch of other bands and artists as well. Maybe that'll focus, maybe it won't. But yeah, it was a movie that I loved. I've since moved on. I don't particularly like Spider-Man all that much, but seeing the whole track listing of all the artists on, I just couldn't pass that up. And then the last one is from a band called Bad English. This features members from Journey and the Babies. I don't know who's who. It just comes on this simple J card. You got the album credits on that side. Don't know who's who. I'm sure those of you who are Journeys or Babies fans, you'll be able to recognize who's who. But Bad English was a short-lived band that formed after Journey broke up in '87. A few of the members, and then like I said, members of the Babies, they went on to form this band, which this was their first record. They only released one more, and I'm pretty sure they ended up breaking up before that second record was even released. But yeah, once the second record was done, none of the members were feeling it anymore. They felt like they were going too much in a poppy mainstream direction, so they ended up breaking up. But that record itself, it's fucking great. There's obviously there's a lot of influences from both those bands going into it, so you know it's a great record. It's obviously not Journey, and it's definitely not the Babies, but it's a good record nonetheless. That it's kind of an overlooked supergroup, but it is what it is. I guess if they were annoyed with it being too mainstream or too poppy, then the members are probably happy that the band gets overlooked. But yeah, that is all for this collection update. I got a whole bunch of tapes in recently too that I need to make a video on. Hopefully, can't promise anything, but hopefully that'll be soon. But if you watched this far, thank you. Thanks for liking and subscribing as always, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.